Hey everyone, my name is Andrik Langfield, and today I want to take a look at transitions. And I'm not talking about transitions like you see used very often, like these zoom transitions or whip pan transitions that can be created digitally through different presets and different things like that. We're not taking a look at those today. We're going to be talking about things that you can make in your camera. Now this applies to you if you're using an iPhone or a point and shoot camera all the way to a mirrorless camera. These are principles that we're going to take a look at today and how we can apply them. Then in another video, whenever I post the next video, we're going to be talking about how to edit those transitions in the computer. Now there's going to be three principles we're going to cover today. First one is going to be direction. The second one's going to be matching colors or luminance values, so such as bright areas or dark areas. And then the third one's going to be obstruction, so things that pass in front of your camera and using those as transitions. To me, direction is the most important one out of the three. And when we're talking about direction, we're talking about anything that moves within your frame that you're shooting, whether that's the actual camera moving from the left to the right, or that's an object or a person running from the left of the screen to the right of the screen. That is your movement, your direction. When it comes to transition, you want to follow that movement all the way across the screen and through the screen. And it can change directions as long as it's seamless and it's a moving direction. For example, let's say you start your clip from the left to the right. You're panning from the left to the right. Then your next shot should be something that moves from the left to the right. It could be another shot that's moving, panning from the left to the right, or it could be someone running from the left to the right. Another example might be something that's predicted. Like for example, if I throw an apple up in the air, the apple's gonna come right back down. So you're predicting that motion, so you're tracking that motion. So let's say for example, I throw the apple, then the next clip is gonna be maybe someone diving into a pool because you feel that motion. Or let's say you throw the apple and then a waterfall is pulling you down. You see that motion is predicted and then it's coming back down. Or for another example could be here is if you're tracking someone that's running, you're tracking them from the left to the right, and then let's say at the last moment you pan to the top. What you've created is now a direction that's moving from the left to the right and then up. So the next shot should not be from the left to the right, it should be from bottom up. So you have to be thinking about these things while you're shooting. What's the next thing that I'm going to be shooting? Is it going to be right to the left or left to the right, so that you can tie these things together. So the basic principle here is think of where the object is and where it's gonna go. So where it started, then where it is, and then the next clip, where was it before and where is it gonna continue. The next principle here is color, brightness values, color matching. This is anything that looks similar, and you could use all sorts of different things with this one. I've used it with the sky before, and the sky is a very easy transition because you point your camera to the sky is bright, and then you can pull it out from a white shirt. Maybe somebody's wearing a nice bright white shirt. You match those luminance values in the computer and you can have that nice bright sky, and then you can do a little crossfade and come out from that white shirt, and it's gonna look like the shirt was actually the sky. And you can see how these different things will match very well. Now if you combine color with movement, you can get some very interesting transitions, such as this one that I did. This one was the trip from Philippines that I went to, and you can see here as I'm panning towards the left, well actually the vehicle is actually going from the right to the left of the screen. Then my next shot is gonna have movement, which we were actually moving from the left to the right in a car, but the actual object, the road, was moving from the right to the left of the screen. It can get a little confusing, but once you look at the screen, you can make sense of where the movement is going. So the car was moving from the right to the left, then the road was moving from the right to the left. And I matched these colors that the bike was red and blue, and then you can see that these pylon things in the road were red and blue. So by doing this, you get a very seamless transition using direction, using that motion blur, and using that color matching principle that we looked at. Now, something that you could mistake here is doing the opposite. If you're trying to transition from something that's very bright to something that's very dark, it's gonna be very jarring. It's gonna be very hard to create a transition between these two objects. An example might be a white sky to a black t-shirt. You can see how this would just not work. So make sure you think about this principle when you're thinking about transition. What did I just shoot before? Was it a white sky? Was it a red car? And how can I use that color or those brightness values in my next clip? The last principle I want to take a look at today is obstructions. Now this could be anything that you create yourself or something that happens in your environment. Like we were talking about that car, when the car passes from the left to the right, that would be an obstruction. So maybe you're thinking in your next shot, well, it was a black car, it was moving from the left to the right, and it was an obstruction, so it covered my whole camera. So now I could do the same thing, but creating it with maybe this black tasking folder that I've got here. So if I'm filming with my phone and I filmed the car that was going from the left to the right, I would then grab this and I could probably start it from here, covering the lens, and then move it to the right. So I have uncovered the next transition, and you could transition from the car to this folder there, and it would create a nice seamless transition. Direction, then the color match, and then the obstruction there. Something that I carry a lot is a prism. I like to use prisms a lot for different things, but a prism is great for obstruction because you can pass it right in front of the lens and it'll create beautiful colors. If you don't have one of those, you can use anything from like a glass to cups, anything that's translucent. Those are beautiful for those kind of things because they create this kind of depth between your foreground to your background. Sometimes I even ask my wife to just walk in front of the camera to create this obstruction so that I can pull out of the camera or transition into some title sequence or something like that, because she has walked in front of the camera and obstructed the camera. So that's a great way to think about how to add something else to your transitions besides just whip pan transitions or just simple things that we just naturally go to. Now, as a conclusion to this, of course, transitions are cool and we all like them. Make sure you think about how you're using them so that they don't become excessive. You definitely don't want to make a video that is excessive with transitions unless that is the purpose of the video. But if you're trying to make a video and a storyline, make sure that your transitions actually make sense, so that you're not just transitioning from two different objects that just will not make sense, that you're not telling a story through that. So those are my 3 principles. I hope those were a help to you. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. I'll be posting another video next week or the week after that, whenever I get around to it, of how to edit these transitions in your computer. I'll be talking about and walking you through how to use the 2 different clips. Maybe you've shot different directions that you weren't supposed to, and now you have these 2 clips that have to come together, but maybe the direction is incorrect or the colors are incorrect. I'll be showing you how to finesse those transitions in the computer. Well, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.